UFC Fight Night, Almabayev versus Kape, recap and breakdown, boys. An absolute shit Apex card. Another one, man. Like, I just don't get the point in going back to the Apex every few weeks, every couple weeks. So why? Just why? Just why are we creating these horrible dog shit fight nights? An absolute shit fight night yet again, boys. But I am going to break it down. I am going to recap it, starting off with the prelim opener of Charles Johnson versus Ramazan Temirov. This wasn't a bad fight. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a bad fight, but Ramazan Temirov, little bowling ball guy, man. He was just running at Charles Johnson, throwing and spamming overhand rights, connecting on Johnson, rocking him in moments. Charles Johnson kind of, he's trying to kick at range, try to close the distance. He shouldn't have been the one that had to close the distance against a guy who has a tiny little reach, standing at 5'4", literally a bowling ball. But, it just didn't go the way of Charles Johnson. Ramazan Temirov gets the unanimous decision. He was just landing the better shots, doing the more damage in round 1, round 2. I gave round 3 to Charles Johnson, but it was kind of just too late. Too much damage had been done by Ramazan Temirov, so he gets the unanimous decision and is now in the rankings after 2 fights in the UFC, man. So it is what it is. But we move on. Next fight. I'm not even going to. I don't even want to talk about this fight. Andrea Lee, kicker out of the UFC. JJ Aldrich, kicker out of the UFC. Both real bad, man. Horrible fight, boring fight. Andrea Lee, 5-fight losing streak, now a 6-fight losing streak. She isn't in the UFC anymore, of course, obviously. It was horrible. It was an absolute snooze fest, man. I can't even just describe anything that happened in this fight. I was looking at the ceiling. I was, looking off in the distance, trying to really grasp a good moment to think of and recap in this video. There's just nothing to really recap. So, JJ Aldrich gets unanimous decision. Kick Andrea Lee out of the UFC, fire her, do what you got to do. JJ Aldrich, I guess, landed the better shots, stuffed Andrea Lee's pathetic takedowns, and got the decision. So, yep, it is what it is. We move on. Next fight, Danny Silva versus Lucas Almeida. This was a good fight. I like this fight. It was a close fight, though. Danny Silva was doing good round 1, round 2. I gave those to him. He landed the better shots when it came to boxing, pure boxing. Danny Silva's boxing was levels above Lucas Almeida. Almeida had good kicks, but didn't really connect too hard on Danny Silva. He was kind of styling on him a bit, but in round 3, Lucas Almeida really picked it up, was throwing the more punches. For some reason, Danny Silva just stopped kind of throwing in round 3, was just rolling with punches. It worked, but it did end up going to a split. I think Danny Silva just kind of just let off the gas in round 3, let Lucas Almeida get one round, and it went to a split. But Danny Silva gets it done by split decision. That's back-to-back splits for him. Not necessarily the best look. That's showing that his fights are close, but it was still a good fight by him. He landed the better shots, injured Lucas Almeida in moments. I think he could have finished the fight in a few moments, especially in round 2. He had some moments where he could have finished Lucas Almeida. He was piecing him up on the feet, and he was rolling really nicely with punches. His defense was very good for the most part, but Lucas Almeida was actually throwing a lot, and the striking numbers were very close. I think Lucas Almeida was up in the 3rd round, so it does go to a split, but Danny Silva gets a win. It was a good win, though. We move on. Ricardo Ramos versus Chepe Mariscal. I really thought Chepe was going to finish Ramos. Honestly, Ramos was on his tippy toes throughout most of this fight, got injured a lot. Chepe was landing a lot. I mean, the striking numbers, it was like 100 to 25 in early round 3. And I mean, Chepe ended 125 to 37. That is a disgusting number. Ricardo Ramos was getting pieced up by Chepe Mariscal. I mean, this is another bowling ball little dude at featherweight. Chepe Mariscal just is an absolute tank, an absolute unit. I mean, Ricardo Ramos, the only thing he had going for him was the spinning elbows, spinning kicks and stuff like that. He connected hard on Chepe, I believe, in round 2. Spinning elbow, rocked Chepe a little bit, but really didn't do much to him. Chepe just has an absolute iron chin, and he was connecting hard on Ricardo Ramos. Almost finished him at the end of the 2nd. They go into the 3rd. Chepe was kind of playing it a bit lighter, but was still dealing a lot of damage. And then at the end of the 3rd, brought a lot of pressure and secured himself a nice unanimous decision. I thought Chepe could have gotten Ricardo Ramos out of there in round 1, round 2, or round 3. There was a lot of chances for him. Didn't decide to do that. I don't know if Chepe's power is lacking or maybe his pressure, but I don't think he really wanted the finish as bad as he could have gotten it. I think he definitely could have gotten the finish, but good win by Chepe Mariscal. He is definitely a decent prospect at featherweight for sure, but the power he holds is at a bit of question. We move on, though. Austin Lane versus Mario Pinta. First finish on the card. Mario Pinta absolutely flatlines Austin Lane. I mean, no question about it. Austin Lane's chin is just literal glass, man. I thought he had a solid chance. I thought he could maybe get takedowns. Didn't do that. Obviously got absolutely chinned like he always does. Had his chin high up in the air. Mario Pinto lands a nice right hook, flattens him out. Austin Lane drops like that to his back. Fight's over. Very expected stuff. Good win by Mario Pinto. Could be a heavyweight prospect. We'll see. We will see. Obviously, 99.999% of these heavyweight prospects come into the UFC, get a KO, and then try to fight a number 15 guy or just even an unranked guy and lose. So, heavyweight prospects, not very many of them. We will see what happens with Mario Pinto, but hopefully we got a heavyweight prospect. We will see, though. We move on to the main card, though. It starts it off Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson. I think everybody who did UFC picks, who did UFC bets, bet on Danny Barlow to get KO and get a KO in round one. And other people that were betting on Sam Patterson bet by submission. None of that happened, man. The two outcomes that I thought were going to happen, of course, didn't happen. It's UFC. When you're betting, you can't be betting very confidently. Sam Patterson gets a TKO over Danny Barlow. Very, very unexpected. I think it was like a plus 1,500, something ridiculous, man. Something ridiculous like that. Sam Patterson was not expected to get a TKO. He gets it done in round one. Clean stuff. I mean, a lot of people doubted Sam Patterson on the feet, said he had a chin of glass. I mean, I said it too, to be honest, and I thought he did, but he kind of stood out, was able to land the better shots, and I mean, he moved up to welterweight. That's good for him. Patterson looks pretty good, looks decently big. He was able to catch Danny Barlow with a left, and then I think the left it missed a bit, and then he connected with the right hook, caught Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow started wobbling back, and then Sam Patterson pressed him up against the cage and landed some nice hooks on the ground. Now knocked out Danny Barlow. Clean win by Sam Patterson. And I mean, not much else to say. I think he should have gotten a bonus for this win, to be honest. I don't really agree with the fights that did get bonuses. I mean, one of them, obviously, I believe Mario Pinto got a bonus for this one, but that's fair. But I think honestly, Sam Patterson deserved a bonus for that one. But good win by him, man. And I mean, he has beat some bums, but beating Danny Barlow is decent. That's a decent win. Either Danny Barlow just got fraud checked and he's really not that good, or Sam Patterson actually beat a good fighter. So we'll see. Honestly, there's still some doubt around Sam Patterson, but he's pretty good, man. He's decent. So we move on. Next fight, Hyder Amil versus William Gomi. Hyder Amil gets the split decision win, boys. Hey, William Gomi don't always get those split decision wins, man. It was honestly, it was good to see Hyder Amil beat William Gomi by split decision. An absolute joke. It was a close fight. Obviously the striking numbers were up for Hyder Amil, but William Gomi was piecing him up with kicks. A lot of more well-rounded MMA overall by William Gomi, but Hyder Amil, he is just a little hurricane, man. He just comes at you, throws hands, did not stop going forward. Connected on William Gomi quite a bit. He just kept going forward, really just right in Gomi's face. And I think that's a way to beat William Gomi. You just have to be right in his face. Obviously, that's what Yo Anderson Brito did against Gomi, but Gomi obviously got the split. He was in France. I think that's why he got that. But here in the Apex, there is no favorites here. William Gomi, man. Hyder Amil gets the split decision. Good for him. He's still undefeated. He's still undefeated in the UFC as well on a 3-fight win streak now. Good for Hyder Amil. I think that is, I don't know if it's his first decision win, but good win by Hyder Amil, man. A lot of people were picking William Gomi. I'm glad Hyder got it done because William Gomi is just such a boring fighter. I'm sorry, but this fight was good. It was actually pretty good. Hyder Amil just pushed the pace, got the fight going, and secured himself a solid win over a guy who is seen as one of the better unranked featherweights. So Hyder Amil, good win, man. We move on. Next fight, Nasrat Haqparast versus Esteban Ribovic. A lot of people are mad about this decision. I think it's a fair decision. Look, I chose Esteban Ribovic. A lot of people chose Esteban Ribovic. This guy is a fight of the night fighter. I mean, he brings it. He was up in the striking numbers. He landed good shots, but Nasrat just landed the better shots, had a tight guard for the entirety of the fight. The first round, he took that round. Second round, I think he took that. Third round, I'd say Esteban took that. It was close, but Esteban landed some good shots, landed a nice knee in round 3. I think it was round 3 to land a nice knee, but Nasrat in round 1 and round 2 was just landing the cleaner shots on Esteban. Kind of was cocking his head back, knocking his head back a bit, was definitely landing some nice strikes, but it was close. Don't get me wrong, it was close, and the striking numbers were on Esteban Ribovic's side, but Nasrat mixed in a takedown. I think he mixed in the takedown round 3, got a takedown. That kind of secured him, the win. So it was close, though. Don't get me wrong, it was very close, but that was how many was that? Oh, that was one, two, three underdogs in a row. Absolute parlay cooked, parlay cooked, parlay cooked. I cannot even imagine how many people's parlays got cooked by these two split decision losses. Absolute jokes. But yeah, it was definitely quite a few upsets in a row, man. But we move on to the next fight. Cody Brundage versus Julian Marquez. This one was pretty expected. It ended in the first round. I mean, it wasn't an absolute barn burner. It wasn't a crazy knockout, but Cody Brundage gets it done in round one. Landed some nice hooks, landed a nice hook over the top on Julian Marquez, knocked him down, started landing some just some ground and pound, just some side of the head shots and some uppercuts from the side, and just had Julian Marquez kind of out on the ground, kind of in a baby crawling position, and got the win, man. Got the win by knockout. Good win for Cody Brundage, gets him back in the win column. I think it's better that we see Cody Brundage get that win than Julian Marquez. Marquez is on his way out. I think it's a 4-fight knockout loss streak right now. So good win by Cody Brundage. We move on to the main event. Oh, that was I forgot. That's the co-main. We move on to the main event. Manel Kape versus Asu Almabayev. Shit fight, man. Shit fight. I'm sorry. Respect to Manel Kape though. Good win. I can't really say good win because he eye poked the shit out of Asu, but he did piece him up on the feet in round one, round two, and round three. He was all over him anyway. He was all over Asu. And round two, he eye poked Asu. Asu was like, okay, eye poke, and he did graze his eye, but it was a punch, slipped and grazed his eye. It was really kind of controversial because then in round three, Manel Kape back to back eye poked Asu. Ref didn't stop it, didn't pause it. Asu was like eye poke, and then Manel Kape continued. So that is back to back knockout wins for Manel Kape with controversial things. I mean, in the last one, of course, Bruno Silva got knocked out. Obviously, he got kicked in the cup, and then he pointed at the cup, was kind of holding down, and the ref didn't stop him. Manel Kape kept going forward, knocked him out, and then in this fight, Manel Kape eye pokes Asu Almabayev once or twice. Almabayev's pointing at his eye. Manel Kape has him on the cage, starts just winging shots, like all over him, all over Asu, just landing clean combinations. Don't get me wrong, very clean combinations, but Asu was a little bit distraught because of the eye poke. So Manel Kape, very controversial kind of wins, man. Can you rate the wins? Yeah, sure. I mean, Asu Almabayev on the come up was undefeated in the UFC, just knocked him out. Bruno Silva was on the come up. I think he was on a 4-fight win streak, most of them by finish, I think, as well. So good win, but Manel Kape is quite controversial. But we do have to see that Manel Kape versus Kai Kara France fight, or the Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval fight, or the Manel Kape versus Pantoja rematch. Like, those are good fights to make. Don't get me wrong, but this was a controversial kind of win. So it is what it is. But the night ended in a weird way, kind of weird fashion. Same thing as last weekend. Same thing. Eye poke, man. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. We need to fix the UFC gloves. Anyways, boys, if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop your comments down below what you guys thought about the card, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.